Happy Sunday. Welcome back to my channel. If this is our first time meeting, hi, my name is Cheyenne. I am the owner and face behind Soulful Soothe. So as you see, I'm very comfortable today. It's Sunday and it just is what it is, so it ain't what it ain't, right? So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna start off with the invocation, which is just a fancy word for prayer. It's a way to center ourselves before doing divination. I do this before any spiritual type of work. I have notes here. As I'm shuffling the cards, I will be giving you the astro forecast for the week. I'm not going to go into what's going on with every single planet. I'm just outlining two specific transits that I think are going to be very transformative for us as a collective. But after that, I will read our cards and that'll be it. So let's get started. Thank you, Spirit, for this time that my friend and I are sharing together in your presence. Before we ask for anything, we say thank you. We give gratitude for this past week, any lessons that it has taught us, any healing that it's brought to the surface that's needed to happen. We thank you for all of it because we know that it is for our greatest good and that it all works out in the end anyway. We ask that you would lead and guide us through this reading and that you would give us guidance on how you would have us to move and interact with others from the healthiest of places in this week. We ask for your blessings and your protection as we do this work, that you would place a white shield, a white bubble around us as we are doing this work, that any attacks from any foreign dark entities would reverberate off of that shield of protection, that it cannot pierce, penetrate, or touch us at all. With a heart full of love and with gratitude on our lips, we say thank you. Amen. All right, so I have tried recording this for a couple times, so I already had two cards pulled. I have not seen these two cards yet, but as I am shuffling for the rest of the reading, I'm just going to start rapping about what's going on in the skies and what transits stick out to me the most. So the first thing that sticks out to me for this week astrologically is we have a full moon in Gemini on the 18th, which I believe is Saturday. What's today's date? The 12th? So yeah, that's on Saturday. I'm not the greatest with math, I'm not even gonna lie. But we have a full moon in Gemini on Saturday. So if you are not familiar with the moon phases of the lunar cycle, moon cycle, whatever you want to call it, the full moon is like the pinnacle of action. So if you're in a certain situation and you can feel tension building, you feel like something is about to happen and then boom, it happens. That's what the full moon is like. It's when the energy is the most intensified, it's the most vibrant. Emotions are usually running high, so this is why you see and hear a lot of nurses, especially those who work on the psych ward or psych unit or whatever, anybody who is in behavioral mental health, they joke a lot about the full moon because that's when our emotions are stereotypically the most intense. Why is this? It's because the moon is the planet that rules our emotional state. It rules how we are interacting. Okay. Still not saying the cards, but it rules how we're interacting within ourselves. It's like what's going on behind the scenes. So yes, we can act and we can do and say all of these things on the outside, on the external, but we also have to realize that our internal state is what drives that action. It's what drives that force. So just be mindful of that. The moon will be transiting in Gemini. So what does this mean? Gemini is an air sign. Air signs are associated with communication, knowledge, intellect. If you've ever been around a Gemini, they probably have 1,000,001 questions. Why is that? Because they want to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it. It's nothing personal. It's just in their nature to know all things. They're not doing it to annoy you. It's just, again, a part of their nature. So for this full moon, things that could happen, you could be hearing from an ex. You could, and this doesn't have to be an ex-romantic partner. It could be an ex-boss or business partner or a friend that you just have fallen out of touch with. So communication could definitely be high during that transit. Now keep in mind, the energy doesn't just come in and boom and then it's gone. So 3 days leading up to any like big moon phase, any of the phases of the moon really, 3 days leading up to and then 3 days after, that's when the energy is the most potent. So this could happen throughout the week. You could be noticing communication is high or more intense, or just coming out of the blue, like you could be hearing from people that you just have not heard from in quite some time. The next transit that is super important is on the 19th, we have Venus going retrograde in Capricorn. Now this one's going to be a little spicy, I'm not going to lie. So Venus will be in retrograde from December 19th until January 29th, 2022. I'm going to take that this way. Okay, so Venus will be in retrograde in Capricorn until January 29th, 2022. What does this mean? Well, let's break it down. First of all, Gemini is the planet, Venus is the planet that rules beauty, it rules relationships, luxury, comfort, familiarity, things of that nature. Venus rules Taurus, and it's escaping me what other sign it rules right now. But if you are a Taurus, if you have significant Taurus placements in your chart, you could feel this transit significantly for you personally. This could mean that people that you aren't really in contact with anymore are suddenly coming out of the woodworks. Also, if you're Capricorn or Cancer, which is Capricorn's sister sign, you could also feel this transit a little bit more than the rest of us. Now, collectively, what does this retrograde mean? It means that we could see some challenges. Again, not gonna lie. The first time I sat down to do this reading, we had the Devil card on the bottom of the deck. Now, the Devil card is a major arcana that rules Capricorn. And Capricorn energy is known for working hard, being extremely serious. To their friends, families, and outsiders, Capricorns seem a little hard ass. They can seem like a stick in the mud. They're very career focused and driven. So with Venus being in retrograde in this sign, this means that romantically we might be feeling like, okay, come on, what's happening? If you are someone that is engaging in, you know, hookups or just casual relationships with someone, you could be feeling reflective about like why you're engaging in that way, or if this is someone that, you know, is worthy of your time. I'm not saying like, oh, we need to be taking things to the next step or we need to be jumping into relationships, but with this retrograde, we might be seeing signs of like, okay, what's happening? Why is this happening? It's just really not there for us to fuck around. Now, how does this affect you personally? So what you want to do is check your 10th house placement. The 10th house is what rules career, focus, recognition, achievement, things of that nature. And so if you have any 10th house placements, you want to see how this might affect you personally. I don't have any 10th house placements, so I don't expect this retrograde to really impact me that much. So there's that. Another thing that you want to look for in your own personal birth chart is Saturn placements. Now, Saturn rules our obligations, our lessons. Saturn is a larger planet that's on the outer ring of our galaxy, and so that means that it rules a generation more so than an individual. So just know that collectively, those who are born around the same time as you, I think it takes Saturn either 15 or 29 years to do one full revolution. I'll have to look that up and put that somewhere on the video. I'm actually gonna write that down so I remember. But yeah, so look at where Saturn is, and that will also tell you what you need to be focusing on during this retrograde. Now, there are collective themes, which I've already talked about, how, you know, it could, you know, bring up questions of where are we, where's this going, is this something that I want in my life? You're looking at things serious and bigger picture. You're also looking at things for the long term, etc., etc. But I mentioned the 10th house and Saturn specifically because this will tell you how this transit will impact you specifically. Okay, so let's get into this reading. I didn't have a spread specifically. I just kind of was drawing cards, and again, I've not seen any of these before. I'm turning them around, but I'm gonna read them. There are two rows here, so I'm gonna read them from the top to the bottom. Okay. Before I get into all of that, I am using the Modern Witch Tarot. This is what it looks like. I will link it below. Okay, so for the top row, we have 5 of Swords reversed. We have the 5 of Wands upright. We have the 6 of Swords reversed. And the King of Pentacles upright. These are beautiful cards. So I'm just going to read these straight across and then act as if the bottom row is kind of like a clarifier for those. So the first thing I heard when I saw these cards together is longevity. With 2 5s here, 1 in reverse and 1 upright, what this speaks to me is change. And not necessarily the type of change that feels good per se. This may be challenging for you. There could be arguments or just otherwise like tension building with other people. There could be some deception, some sort of lies. You might be in your head a little bit about this. But the next card being the Six of Swords in reverse. This tells me that you're trying to get away, you're trying to avoid this. I'm getting the sense that, like, you don't really like tension, you don't like conflict, and I mean, really, who does? But at the same time, there are some people who thrive on reading bitches for filth. And then there's others of us who are just like, you know, I could read you for filth, but that just takes too much energy and time away from me, so I'd rather not. And so I'm getting escapism. If you run away from talking about whatever is going on, whatever situation is happening, if you run away from talking about it, if you don't deal with it, it's going to come back to haunt you. It's going to come back to bite you. Now we do have the King of Pentacles here. So this means you could be dealing with a masculine energy, regardless of gender. We all have both masculine and feminine qualities. It's what brings balance to our universe, right? So you could be dealing with a masculine who is an earth sign. That could be Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. So what are the qualities that the King of Pentacles embodies? He embodies stability, progression, being very focused on home life and building and foundations and making sure that things are solid. Earth sign, masculine energy doesn't want anything wishy-washy, anything that when the wind comes, it's going to topple over. And so oftentimes earth sign males can have the stereotype of being like workaholics. And that's only because they want to make sure that everyone is provided for. Like, yes, we can sit up and lay up and watch movies and chit chat and, you know, play all day. But at the end of the day, are we solid? Is there food in the house? Is the heat on? Those sorts of things. Now, underneath the Five of Swords in reverse, we have a Five of, oh, nope, that's the Four of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Wands, and we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. What this speaks to me, especially with these two cards here, the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands in reverse, what this speaks to me is that there's someone here who's being stubborn. They're holding on to their way of doing things or their perception. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. This could be your energy, okay? And oftentimes, you know, as women, we can be like, you know, well, maybe I didn't, or, you know, doubtful or questioning our intuition. And again, anyone can do that, but stereotypically women do this the most. Whereas we see men, they tend to be like, oh, this is what it is. I'm going to say da 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 da. Whereas women, we're not stereotypically like that. And I say women because we have feminine energy here with the Queen of Wands. Now this is Aries energy, Leo, and Sagittarius. We are actually in Sagittarius season, so happy birthday to you if you are a Sagittarius watching this. So like I was saying, there is some sort of conflict here with the cards on the top row. And with these cards down here, what I'm seeing is that there's someone being stubborn and there's a lot of passion behind this stubbornness. So someone is being perceived as if, you know, they won't budge, they won't move. And that very well may be true, and that very well may be you. However, take some time to reflect if you are resonating with that. Ask yourself if you are creating boundaries or blocks. Are you standing in your truth? Are you standing in your power? Are you speaking to power? Are you going against the grain in a way that's conducive for the growth and the healing of all of the people that are involved? Or are you standing in your truth based on your perception, which could be harmful to other people? Are you being defensive? Are you not considering all sides? Are you forging a path with fire and burning people along the way? That's all I got for that section of cards. Next, we have the Four of Swords in reverse. Now, it's interesting. We had 2 5s in the top row, and we've got 2 4s. So these could be, numbers for you to look out for this week as confirmation, or just signs that you are on the right path. Now, with the sequentiality of the top row, 5 and then 6, what this tells me is that whatever conflict is happening is fated and it needs to happen. Now, it might not be the most comfortable thing, but it will clear the way for brighter days, for success, etc. So, Four of Swords in reverse speaks to not getting enough rest, resisting rest. It's being exhausted to the point of maybe you're crying. I know me personally, if I'm too tired, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I get very weepy. And at that point, I know I just need a little snacky poo and a nappy poo. So I go get me a quick snack, usually a burger or some tacos and tequila. And then I take a nap, because if I don't, I will become a bitch. Now, I enjoy being that bitch, but I don't want to be a bitch. So in case that's you this week, get you some tacos, take a couple shots of tequila, vibe out in your own space. Don't say the first thing that comes to mind, because with this Queen of Wands energy here, yes, she is a boss, a go-getter. She's very action-oriented and she makes shit happen, but she can also burn people with the things that she says and how she moves. So you want to be careful and cautious that you're taking care of yourself first, so that you aren't being harmful to other people this week. Now, under the Six of Swords, which was in the top row, we have the Devil. I can't remember if I said this earlier in the video or not, but with Venus retrograde in Capricorn, like I said, that could be a time where you're seeing relationships tested. You might be getting some curveballs thrown your way. And when it comes to any transit in this, guys, the energy doesn't just happen at the exact moment in time that the transit occurs. The energy, there's a momentum, there's a building up, and then there's like a calm down period when we're coming off of that, like that height of the pinnacle of the energy. So what this tells me, like I said, Six of Swords in reverse feels like you running away from problems. It feels like you running away from conflict. It feels like you avoiding conversations that need to be had. And remember, I said if you don't deal with this now, it will come back to bite you in the future. And the Devil card here confirms that. So really take a look at how you've historically dealt with conflict, how you respond and react to people saying like, oh, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. What is your visceral reaction? Are you immediately want to be like, well, no, it's not that way, and da 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 da? Or are you really listening? Are you tapping into your heart space, breathing through the discomfort, acknowledging how the other person feels, and thanking them for bringing this to your awareness so that you can behave in a more conducive way so that you can continue the relationship, if that's what you desire. Now, if someone is bringing to you, you know, this is what you're doing, and this is how it's affecting me, and blah, 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 and you're like, okay, fuck you, you're a narcissist, or fuck you, you're making shit up, or whatever, then you can use your discernment and like that Queen of Wands energy, stand in your truth, hold firm, and know that you've done nothing wrong. But if you, like I said, have historically approached conflict in this way, and conflict doesn't have to be like, oh, you know, we're having all these words, we're yelling at each other, we're bickering back and forth. Conflict can, and a lot of times it can just be tension and silence. If you've historically been passive aggressive, or you've historically avoided the conflict, ask yourself if this is something that is conducive for your growth and your forward movement, if this is something that is helpful for you continuing that relationship with this individual or these people. Because I really get the sense that it's multiple people, especially with all the people that we see in these two cards, the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands. Okay, now underneath the King of Pentacles, we have two major arcana. So that's a little intense there. We have the Justice card, which is ruled by Libra energy. And we have the Fool in reverse. You know better, now do better, I just heard. So Libra energy, again, Libra is an air sign, excuse me. It rules communication, knowledge. Libra specifically talks about relationships and justice, which that's the name of this card. So fairness. Is this fair to me? Is this fair to you? Let's meet in the middle. Let's find a mutually beneficial outcome to whatever it is that we've got going on. That's what Libra energy says. Now, with the Fool here, what this tells me is that you've been here before. Remember a couple minutes ago, I was saying, like, pay attention to the way you've historically dealt with conflict. And if that's conducive for your forward movement, if that's conducive for where you want to be in the future, or if it's conducive for your relationship with this person. So those are just some things to be mindful of this week. I know that was a lot, but basically what I see is that there could be some conflict. It doesn't have to be, you know, fist fighting or anything of that nature. But there's some conflict that you're avoiding, and if you continue to avoid it, it's gonna bite you in the ass. So what you need to do is radical self-care. Take a moment, take a pause, take a breather. Look at how you've dealt with conflict in the past and if it's conducive for your forward movement. I know I sound like a broken record at this point. Try to find what is the most mutually beneficial route for all parties involved. Now, as we know with negotiation, you got to give a little to get a little, right? You got to give a lot to take a lot, or whatever the saying is. So yeah, that's this week ahead. I'm just pulling some cards from my Soothed Chakras deck, which will be available on February 2nd of next year. What affirmations can my friend use this week to get back on track? Or what affirmations would be helpful for my friend to find some peace during this conflict? I just keep hearing you already know what to do. You've been here before. I don't know if that's a specific message for someone or something that Spirit's been individually giving you, but that's just what I keep hearing. I love it when this happens. Okay, so first card out, I lead with love. It's green because it's tethered to our heart chakra. Now, remember I said that we need to look at how we've historically dealt with conflict and, be mindful of the way that we're moving and the things that we're saying. So make sure that you are leading with love and not ego or fear. Next card is a yellow card, which is tethered to our solar plexus. It's what rules our action and how we move through the world, our self-esteem, our confidence, our willpower. This says friction is an opportunity for movement. Friction is an opportunity for movement. So like I said earlier, noticing that the numbers present here are sequential, 4, 5, 6. Whatever conflict this is, whether it's internal or with other people, I really feel like for most of y'all, it's with other people and not necessarily an internal sort of situation. The friction that's happening right now, even though it's uncomfortable and it feels like we may want to hide from that conflict and we might not want to deal with it or talk about it to the people involved, we definitely need to, because it's an opportunity for the boundaries of our relationship to expand and become something way more beautiful. Now, this doesn't mean like, let's lower our boundaries and lower our expectations or lower or mitigate the way that we're individually feeling or the things that we want or desire. This just means that it's an opportunity for us to either come to an agreement. Either way, we're going to move forward, irregardless, okay? So whether you agree with that person or you don't, either way, you're going to have to move forward. So friction is an opportunity for movement. And last but definitely not least, we have a light purple card, which is associated with our heart chakra. I do believe this is, or not our heart chakra, our crown chakra. I do believe this is the first time a crown chakra card has come out while I'm shuffling for y'all. So, hey girl, welcome to the party. This card says, divine wisdom and guidance are leading me today. Divine wisdom and guidance are leading me today. This is one of my all-time favorite affirmations to work with, because it really, what this says is, I am willing to be wrong. I am willing to admit that I might have been looking at this situation out of fear. I might have been leading with ego instead of leading with love. And I'm really asking for my spirit guide. I'm asking for God, source, power, whatever you want to call. You're submitting and surrendering to what spirit would have you to do. And you're willing to see things from a different perspective. So I hope that this reading has helped you in some way. Jesus, excuse me. Let me know in the comments how this resonates, or if you have any questions, let me know. But until next week or next time, ciao.